you ever played a game that captivated and hooked you within the first 5 minutes of hitting the start game button? Whether it was the artistic choices, the writing or humor, or even a clever tutorial, for me, this was the Adventure Pals. The Adventure Pals is a cartoony, action-packed, hack-and-slash platformer game with some RPG elements sprinkled in there that can either be played solo or with a friend in local co-op mode. The game was developed by Massive Monster and published by Armor Games Studio. So let's begin our story with focusing on the story. I think what I admire most about this game is how absolutely absurd and silly the premise is. Sometimes we all need to unwind and play a game like this, or at the very least experience it. Similar to unwinding by binge watching cartoons on a lazy weekend morning. It was obvious to me from the get-go that Massive Monster had to have been heavily inspired by cartoons like Adventure Time or even Gravity Falls. Also, I could tell that developers like The Behemoth, who are the creators of Castle Crashers, Battle Block Theater, and most recently Pit People, were a massive influence to them as well. Everything from their visuals down to their quick-witted humor. When I mentioned this in a tweet, Massive Monster replied, "The Behemoth are a massive inspiration to us. We also started out making games on Newgrounds, so it's awesome to be compared to them. They are just super awesome." The mood and tone is set for us within the first 2 minutes of gameplay when your papa leads you to a surprise birthday gift. You travel through a well-designed little tutorial with a couple funny jokes in between until you finally arrive at your present. A cake! He tells you that the gift is actually baked inside the cake, and instead of blowing out the candles, he wants you to blow up the cake with a bomb that he previously gave you. After taking a few guesses as to what's inside the cake, everything from a naughty dancer to a beanbag filled with kittens, you blow up the cake, and inside, you discover your first pal, a pet giraffe that you name Sparkles. However, soon after, your birthday is ruined when an uninvited guest by the name of Mr. B shows up and dad naps your papa. And like all great villains in the past, Mr. B unveils all the details of his evil plans right then and there. He is stealing all the old people across the world to turn them into hot dogs. Why? Because of reasons. Now the adventure truly begins. You, a young boy named Wilton, and your pals, Sparkles the giraffe and your best friend who is a pet rock, appropriately named Mr. Rock, set out on an insane and wacky adventure filled with hack and slash action, platforming, bizarre and weird enemies, and big bad bosses, all in the name of friendship, hot dogs, and saving the world. To me, the two crucial fundamentals in any good platformer are tight and good controls and good level design. Fortunately for the Adventure Pals, this game has both. Now, I heard some people say that the character felt a bit too floaty at times, although floaty controls aren't inherently bad in all platformer games, say for instance Ori and the Blind Forest. I can't say that I completely agree that the character feels floaty in the Adventure Pals. I even tested out the control response time in a few instances and found them to be fairly tight. And while we're on the subject of controls, I admire that Massive Monster didn't overcomplicate things and they just kept it simple. Along with tapping to jump, you can also hold it down to get a bit higher off ground. Is that a large gap up ahead? Not a problem due to my super duper high tech spinny giraffe tongue thingy. So yeah, tap to jump, then press and hold it again to have Sparkles, your giraffe, perform a helicopter move with her tongue. This seriously has to be one of my most favorite things about this game. There's also only one button for combat, but you can perform combos for maximum butt kicking efficiency. And lastly, you have a button to access the items in your backpack's inventory and another to use said item. I found that the level design was really excellent. First off, the bright and colorful hand-drawn visuals make for awesome eye candy, but it's not too distracting. In every level, there are 5 separate stages. If you're not too concerned with collecting everything, you could finish each stage in about 5 to 10 minutes or so. The levels progressively get harder and harder as the game continues, and I found that they also became increasingly more confusing to navigate towards the end. I can only assume that this is done on purpose to drive completionists like myself insane. Obviously not, it's just good level design. Aside from branching paths found in each level and stage, there are also plenty of enemies varying in difficulty and brilliant obstacles to trip you up along the way. I can only hope that the devs come up with some sort of level editor like the one found in the Behemoth's Battle Block Theater, so fans like us can have non-stop Adventure Pals fun. Every level has a total of 5 cupcakes to collect, 1 in each stage, and 1 sticker pack hidden somewhere. Once you have a total of 5 cupcakes collected, you can bring them to the Cupcake King, and he'll poop out an egg with a random cosmetic for either you or Mr. Rock inside. Also, might I add that the cosmetics you get from Mr. Rock are just so insanely adorable that I couldn't help but to say, "Aww" out loud almost every single time. The stickers you find are for your talking sentient sticker book. Aside from finding one in each level, you could also purchase them from vendors that are scattered across the world by obtaining them from certain quests or winning them in the arena. And I played the Steam version of this game, so I don't know if this is just exclusive to Steam only, but there are lots of fun stickers for other amazing indie games like Hollow Knight and Holy Potatoes A Weapon Shop. When defeating enemies, you get both gold and XP. By collecting enough XP, you'll eventually level up and have the choice between 3 random abilities. And gold is used for a few different things. Found in every level are chests. Some chests are free and provide even more gold. In other chests, you have to actually pay gold to open it. There's also other chests to be found, like the kind that grants you certain combat attributes. For example, critical hit, electricity, fire damage, and there's even one that fires out turtles from your sword. Aside from chests, gold is used to purchase goodies from vendors like a variety of different bombs, potions, and more. Although you can't buy new weapons, your sword will change appearance each time you level up. We already discussed the story and some of the excellent level design, but how is the actual gameplay and overall mechanics? To sum up the overall gameplay, you need to continuously find rubies, which are found at the end of each level, to pay a ransom to Mr. B. Aside from this, there are various different quests and goals to accomplish throughout your adventure, and even fighting in the arenas. At one point, I had to collect a bunch of berries for a laid-back fox, and another time I had to collect blueprints for a talking toast guy who was enslaved by a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and now they've created a secret underground group called the Doe Uprising. I swear I am not making this stuff up. That being said, I found the gameplay to be very rewarding. Whether it was getting the next adorable cosmetic or obtaining the next quest, I found that I was always curious to see what was next. You will navigate the world by riding on your pet giraffe's back and traversing 5 distinct maps. In each map, you can find levels, as well as shops, villages, and secrets hidden about. Like I said, there are 5 distinct worlds in total, and each one brings new enemies, mechanics, characters, quests, bosses, and more. And one thing I'd like to really highlight here in this review is the outstanding character design. You can really tell how much love was poured into this game by the devs from just the characters alone. Each individual character and NPC has their own look and attitude. You don't really spend that much time with the NPCs, so the fact I became so enamored with them in such a short time really speaks to the overall design. On your adventure, you'll meet a group of laid-back foxes that are in a band, a mailman who eats his mail, an adorable insecure whale, toast people, a lazy tyrant T-Rex king, a fancy burrito, and so many more adorable, lovable, and admirable characters. As the story progresses, you are introduced to more and more game mechanics. The pacing of these mechanics are slow and steady, and I found that I wasn't too overwhelmed by them. The game gives you enough time to master the last mechanics or obstacle before throwing a new one your way. These mechanics vary from using your giraffe as a grappling hook, shooting yourself out of a toaster, sliding down a wire on your bum, guiding a lost flying cat to its cat bed to activate mechanisms like locked doors, using your giraffe's helicopter tongue to propel you underwater, and so many more fun and interesting mechanics. This is the type of game that you could play in short bursts or get lost in for hours. The gameplay starts off simple and quite easy, to be honest, but as the game progresses, the difficulty level becomes increasingly more challenging. It's not too hard where casual gamers would put the game down in frustration, but also not too easy where hardcore gamers would grow bored. And also, I wanted to note that not once did I experience any bugs or technical problems while playing the Adventure Pals. This is a polished platformer with rewarding combat and tight controls. Overall, I had a ton of fun playing this action-packed, cartoony platformer. I loved everything from the upbeat music and awesome sound design, the excellent level design, the story was hilarious and silly and wacky, adorable and lovable characters, and fast action-packed gameplay. If you are a fan of platformer games at all, or even behemoth-style games, or just a lover of cartoons in general, I'd say give Adventure Pals a shot. At the very least, it might just make you laugh or smile. I know it did that and then some for me. I give Adventure Pals 4 out of 5 stars. I am really looking forward to seeing what Massive Monster does next, and I hope with all this positive feedback they've been receiving about this game encourages them to do that sooner rather than later. Be sure to head over to the NERDSTASH.com to read the full review.